Good evening, everyone. Let's have wait another for 2-3 minutes. So might be more people will join. Those are remaining, and we will start. Guys, have a quick check that my voice is clear and my screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
That's good.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today, I think that James is giving you one exercise. So have you done that one, or you are facing little bit difficulties in that?
Finish, sir.
So have you done that one?
Yes, sir, we done so.
That's great. So, are you facing any difficulties, guys? Let me know. Might be some people are facing little difficulty. So if it is a matter, then we can discuss that 10-15 minutes also. There is no issue. Because definitely, if you are getting some new questions, or might be the thing that some new commands or new functions will be given to you for writing the code. Definitely, in that case, you have to take the help from python.org or just search in the Google that function name, and then you will get the answer for that one. So this process, why I'm saying to you, as a training, you learn most of the thing which is 90%, more than 90% usable. As a 10%, you have to search. Even in when you are doing the job in industry, this is the same scenario that basically you are giving, they are providing you a daily basis task, and you have to find out that whenever the new task is coming to you, it is not necessary that you know all the stuff related to that. In that case, you have to search little bit from the Google also. You have to search from the different definitely different sites which is basically helpful to you, and then you can increase your knowledge, enhance your knowledge, and then embed those kind of the stuffs also. Might be that our nation is providing you some kind of the document, so you have to read that document. Or might be if that is a new project and something new tools will be they are embedding or they are incorporating, then it might be possible they will provide you the training for that tools also, and after that you are able to do the working with that tools easily. But might be possible that some features or some functions or some commands which you are not knowing, that you have to search. That is your job. So you have to follow this practice. Search in the Google, find the solution, find the code, what are the different aspects of it, how I can do this one, how I can solve this one. That is the thing. But once you have done the training, definitely you are able to do that one. It's a job of very few seconds or few minutes to search in the Google itself also. But if you are knowing the flow that how I want to do, then you can do easily. If you are not knowing that how to work on the language also, then it is very much difficult, guys, also. So guys, we can go ahead with the training, or some somebody is having issues on that. Let me know from your.
Sir, I had one question, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
The 17th problem, could you just explain that to me? I searched on Google and everything, and I found the answer also, but I couldn't understand the output.
Okay, so what is
I'm
this?
just posting that question. Just a minute. I'm posting the question in the chat box. Write a Python program to test whether a number is within 100 of 1000 or 2000.
Okay. So, how many of you have done this one? You are getting this solution? Basically, you have to create a function for that one, right? Guys, let me know. My screen is visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I take that document. Just wait. This. Yeah. This is the documents. Solution is very simple for the 17th one. So just I open that one, guys. Is it visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, in this what we are creating, write a program to test whether a number is within 100 of 1000 or 2000. So you have to find out that that number is basically within 100 of 1000 or it is from 2000, that you have to find out. In that case, what you are doing, you are creating one function. So here the name is near underscore 1000. This is the name of the functions in the solution given. You can give any name, and then you are passing one parameter which is n here. So you can pass a any parameter you can pass. After that, what you are doing, just you are returning that value, that whether this functions basically uh, having to test the number within 100 of 1000 or 2000. So in that case, you are taking the absolute value of that one. So you are doing return and then absolute value, which is 1000 minus 1 is less than equal to 100, or absolute of 2000 minus n, which is also less than is equal to 100. Then you can print near underscore 1000 or print near underscore 1000, which is 900, or near underscore 1800. That kind of the stuff you can do, or print near underscore 1000 So that is also another aspect. Is that is basically you are giving this value and you can create the things on the basis of that. You are passing the parameter. So here near underscore 1000 is nothing, it is a function. And then after that you are giving some value and then just press the enter and you are getting the result. So from absolute value, you can find out whether this number is basically within 100 of 1000 or within basically 2000s, that you can find out. So basically it is a very simple program. And as a practical approach, it's a program just to test that whether you are able to write a function or not. That's it. 18 also you have done. 19 also you have done. Any other questions you want to see the solution? Let me know. This is also 19 is also a basically program in which you have to write a function and this will be tested by length of a string. So you basically it is given that write a program to get a new string from given string where ls has been added to the front. If the given string is already begins with ls, then return the string unchanged. So in that case, you are creating one new functions and passing the string as a variable str, and then you are finding out length of str is greater than or equal to 2, and str colon 2 means 0 1 where you are written ls is equal to ls, then you are returning str. Otherwise what you are doing, you are returning ls plus str. That's it. So you are using if condition in that one, and then condition on the basis of length of a string, and take the value which is storing at 0 1 position, which is ls. So that's why you are writing str colon 2 is equal to ls. This way you can do. 20 also I can discuss. Write a Python program to get a string which is an non-negative integer copies of a given string. So here also you have to write a functions on the basis of that one. So most of the cases generally in this exercise you can find out James sir is giving you to write so many functions, and whatever the basic things you have done previously while you are learning the basic Python and Python programming, that thing they are asking in this. So these are very, very simple questions. So most of the cases I understand that you are able to do it. And as I suggested also that something, if you are not finding or might be it is a kind of that new functions, whether it is available or not. So just you write that also in the Google and you can search it. And even sometimes it is happening that if you are putting the question in the Google and you are getting the answers and each and everything in the Google itself. So it's a job of 1 minute. So smart work is important. But before that, smart understanding is important. If you are knowing the things that how I have to write a function and what is the meaning of it, and how if I execute this one, what the output I will get, that you have to know strongly. So your concept must be clear. Solution is not a problem. Solution you can find out. Sometimes it is happening even in the industry. The client is giving you a problem, some kind of thing that you have to find out. And if you are searching in the Google, you can get the same answer for each and every code it is written. Only the thing is that just you change your variable names, and you have done, because your naming culture is different as what the answers you are getting. So this approach is basically, you can save a lot of time also, only in case you have a strong knowledge in basic and strong in the Python, then you are able to do it. Because modification of the code, sometimes little bit modification is also required. So you understand that where to modify and what to embed in the things in the code. If I want to add this thing, then this will happen like that, because I'm having little bit 90% similar program, or the answers I'm getting 10%, I have to just modify it according to me. So that way you can do it.
Excuse me,
16
sir.
also. Okay. 16 also. I get one query for 16. So this is the 16 one. Yeah, you can tell me. Write a Python program to get the difference between a given number and 17. If the number is greater than 17, then return double the absolute difference. So here also, basically, this is also a simple exercise to write a function. So here you are giving the function name, which is here as a difference in this. You can give any name, def, and then give your own name for the function and pass the parameter inside it, which is n. And then after that, if you are write the condition. So if n is less than equal to 17, then you are returning 17 minus n. That's it. So this is your return value. And then second case, you write else return n minus 17 multiplied by 2, because they are asking you that number is greater than 17, then return the double of that one. So if number is less than equal to 17, then you have to just return the value 17 minus that number. And if the number is greater than 17, then in that case, you are returning the value minus that number multiplied by 2, and this is your answer. This way you can do, and you can just check it, print, and then use your function name and pass this value 22 or 14. So when you are giving 22 minus, because it is greater than, so this will not execute, and this condition will be executed 22 minus 17, 5 into 2, and you are getting the 10 as the answer. Like that in this 14, when you are passing, so it is less than equal to 17, so it is giving you 17 minus 14, so answer is 3, and by this you are getting 3 as the answer. So you can check with the so many values also.
Excuse
Kalai,
me,
is
sir.
it clear? 16 is clear, Kalai? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good. Yeah, tell me, I'm getting some,
Yes, sir. Excuse me, sir.
yeah.
Sir, question number 10. There is a module and a yes. That's a symbol,
Okay.
special character like that. What is the meaning for
Yeah.
that one, sir?
Okay, 10 I am also explaining, and 3 also explaining. I am getting from Kevin that you please say, Steve, say for 3 questions also. So question number 3 and 10 also. So I am giving you that also. So first go for the 10. This is your 10. Nice. 10 question, write a Python program that accept an integer n and compute the value of n plus nn plus nnn. What is the meaning of it? N plus nn plus nnn. Very simple to understand. If you are giving any value like that, say for example, n is equal to 3, then nn means 33 and nnn means 333. So actually you have to pass the number, and as a string, you know already that whenever I am giving as an input, then it is taking as an integer, and that integer you are converting to integer. So string, when you are passing this one, so here what you are doing here, a is equal to int, and then you are writing input in integer, so it is accepting integer value, and you are having it 3 values. One is n1, another is n2, another is n3. So this is the way that you are writing here percent as percent a, which is int of this, which is n1, a comma a is a n2, and a comma a is n3. So basically, suppose you are giving as a 5, so it is showing you 5, then 5 comma 5, then it is showing you 55, and then 5 comma 5 comma 5, then it is showing you 555 in that case, and then it will be added 555 with 55 with 5, and you are getting 615 as a result. Print n1 plus n2 n3. Might be somebody is doing in another way. So as a writing a program, when you write a program, might be you find 3 ways or 4 ways or 5 ways to write the same program. But this is the easiest one where you are not using, you are not creating even any kind of the functions or not creating anything. Only you are writing a simple program to accept integer, because it is, they are asking. So accept the integer means you have to accept the from the keyboard and then compute the value of this n plus nn plus nn. That's it. Might be somebody is doing like this, n, then n plus n, then n plus n plus n. So basically in a string, if you are just concatenating those things, so n is giving you 5, n plus n is giving you 55, and n plus n is giving you 555. And then you can convert this to the integer value, and then you add it and get the answer out. So this is the second solution for the same program, which is 10. Guys, clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now go for the third. This is the third. Write a Python program to display the current date and time. So basically, guys, if you are seeing in the Python, there will be a date time. So if you import this date time, which is already available in the library or the module, you can say, then after this importing, you can directly write datetime dot now. So it is giving you the current time. So you can have just like in print next line current date and time colon, and in the next line now strf time is equal to this. So formatting is basically they have done the formatting. So first they want to print year, then month, then date, and then hour, then minute, and then second. If you're not doing that one, then it is giving you a another like that. You can check what is the output you are getting, and then after that you want to convert it so that you can convert also with this solution.
Sir, that year, month, day, date may be wrong. You are saying, no, sir. I'm getting something like unterminated string error.
Can you send me your code? Or we
Okay,
can,
sir.
yeah. I can copy this one. Let me check it whether this is right or wrong. So
Same thing also I'm done, sir. I have done the same thing.
Anaconda. We have Jupyter Notebook also. No. So in that case, I am also suggesting there will be a date format. So you can check in even directly in the Google date format in Python 3. So you are not using pandas here, Python 3. So if you are just opening this one, so it will be giving even in W3 school lot of exercises already available. And when you click this one, you are getting the code. Just see, guys. So this is also good to learn a small example. So here you can automatically get this date format codes, which is %A for weekdays or short version, which is showing you as a WED. If you are writing %A, then you are getting a full version, which is Wednesday. And even you can directly try it in this, when you are saying this, try it. So import date time, then x is equal to date time dot now. Then if you are writing print x dot strf time %A, and then you run it, then you are getting as an answer THU as a value, or whatever the current value, which is Thursday. So it is giving you THU, the current THU it is giving you. And the same thing, if you are getting like in the other exercise, lot of exercise you can find out, go to the back and then you can see what the code which is written for the different date format, open in the new one also. So this is December, just like it is written. Might be these are the, might be if you want to print like this, Monday, December 31, then 17, 14, 1, 0, 0. So this is the another find, which is local version. So directly you can write here %C and just see if I am open in new tab. So this will be open. And when I see this is Thursday, yeah, this is %C. So just see you are getting, when you execute it, you are getting Thursday DEC 23, and then after that you are getting 19:00:43, and then after that you are getting the year. So this will be of you are getting from the %C. So lot of things already available for different formatting. Just you have to understand that which type of the formatting you want. If it is available here, you can use this one. Otherwise, you can split from this one. That first you want to print date, then you want to print month, then you want to print a year. So you can take this %D also, that also, that also. So let me
Okay, sir.
check. Let me check whether this Jupyter notebook is loaded in my screen. Not loaded. I can share you this also. STRF time basically giving you the detail for printing that one. So when you are writing here now STRF time, so whatever the format you are giving for them, which is in the basically string format for time, and when you are writing in the quotes inside it, this will be print accordingly. So as I giving you different detail for this, like here, so these are the format which is available. So these are the directives. So a reference for all the legal format codes for date format codes. So what directive is, if you are writing inside the code %A, then it will be printing WED. If you are writing directive as a %A, then it is giving you a Wednesday. Like that is a similar case. If you are writing %Y is a year for full version. So you can see that whether you want short year. So in that case, lower Y is required. When you required a full year, then you have to require a capital version, which is %Y. Then in that case, you are getting this one. And you can just mix merge this combination and you get a right result in that one. So just check it, what the combination you required, and you will get it. So everything it is basically this is also good for practice purpose also and learning purpose. Then you can use it as a tool and you can do this type of the exercise also, guys. So guys, is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes, sir.
So have you previously learned from W3 school any language? Yes or no? From W3 school, have you used something previously?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. It is easy to understand. Lot of things you can find out in this that you can find out and that you can learn from this also. Okay, guys, let's go ahead with the next. So any other questions which you want to see? So we can just resolve those queries also. Yeah. Any question, guys, from the exercise?
No, sir. Thank you, sir. That was all.
Okay, that's done. Okay. Just I close this one. And we close this also. We close this also. And just open Jupyter notebook also from this one. So I think that it is already launched. Is it running Python? So by Control Alt Del, you can get this task manager sometimes if you are using for multiple batches or multiple programs you are using or opening again and again, then you have to close those things. After that, you are able to close your Jupyter notebook and the Anaconda also. So here also Python 3 versions is already available. So we close those also. Now it is closed perfectly fine. This is also closed. So these all tasks I closed. Guys, let's start Anaconda Navigator. So this is the Anaconda Navigator. So yesterday I am giving you basically so many thought process for the data science lifecycle projects. So guys, these things, terminology which we are using is clear to you.
Yes, sir.
Great. And now you have to understand three things we have to cover in this today and tomorrow, which will be structured and non-structured data, then interfacing with database, and then data pre-processing, cleaning, and normalization. These three things I will cover in 2 days. So these are the three different chapters, and we have to cover all the stuffs related to it, guys. So again, I am doing you that for the business analytics purpose or for the data engineering purpose, definitely you require so many things. So here, this is your learning objective, which is data analytics process. It's a step already we have done. List of skill tools that I show you for the data analysis also, for data engineering also, for data science also. Then understand the challenge of the data analytics process. So that is also important that you also learn in this one, because right now you understand the data structure basically, and the non-structured data also. So those things which you learn as a structured and non-structured data, that is also you are learning in this today's to understand this. Might be that so many of guys from the database background, or might be you are using sometimes with any other language and database also. So you might know that what do you mean by structured data and what do you mean by unstructured data. So that also you will learn. Data analytics already, I am giving you so many examples. As a real kind scenario, I am giving you that why basically graphical representation is needed for the topmost company. Like that, if I'm giving you this example, data by itself is just information source, but unless you are understanding it, you are not able to use it effectively. Suppose here you are getting this kind of the transition from the bank, in which you have some date, some descriptions, some deposits, and some withdrawals, and then after that finally balance. So it will be giving you date wise things. Basically on date 1 you are depositing something, and here you are withdrawing something, here you are withdrawing, then after that final balance is right now $2 lakhs, and then after that you are again depositing, so it becomes might be 20020. That will be right now, this total is wrong here, and anything else which is available here also you are getting it like that. So by seeing the data, it is very difficult. Might be you, it is 10 rows, so you can understand the thing. But it might be, say for example, 10,000 rows data. Then how you can find out the things, and how you, if you want to search something, then it is very difficult. So in even possibility that in 10,000 rows, you can say, sir, I can find out that thing also, but it is taking 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes or 10 minutes to understand the data, and then I will give you what is the requirement on the business. But I'm saying instead of 10,000, you might be have 10 TB data in which you have 10 billion rows. Then how you can find out those kind of stuff also. So definitely in that case, you have to do the visualization. So before that, you have to understand the data type also. In for data type, the meaning of that, it doesn't like that whether what the format you are getting from the data. First you understand whether it is a structured data or whether it is a unstructured data. So guys, can anybody tell me what do you understand with the structured data and unstructured data? So this I already covered, so I am not revising this thing. Yesterday we have already taken this thing. Even types of analytics, I already giving you some examples, few examples I have done. This pattern is also I am showing as far as data analytics capabilities with the value and their difficulty level, and all the organizations will be going for the optimization, or all the business process. Every company wants to do that. My process will be optimized so I can utilize in a best way. So that also you know. This is the architecture of data analytics process, that you have to take the data, and then that is known as your data layer, in which you are getting the data. So very first I am talking about, I start with this from this particular thing, which is data layer, and then you have to doing cleaning, processing, interpretation, preparation, and after that last visualizations also, that we will discuss in tomorrow and day after tomorrow lectures. So this data layer, in which basically your job is that data collection, and then put your data into the action, so you are getting something. So data, you are, when you are, I'm talking about the data, that might be a structured data and that might be unstructured data, guys. Can anybody tell me what is, I cannot see the screen. Guys, let me check from once again that are you able to see my screen? Already I shared.
Yes, sir. Screen is visible, sir.
Yeah, Tabassum, I'm getting the message from you that you are not seeing the screen. Let you check at your end. Are you able to see? Not getting
Yes,
the
sir.
answer. Yeah. Okay. So as I tell you that, can you tell me what do you mean by data, structured data and unstructured data? What is the meaning of it?
Structured data is something like it's already defined.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Uh, Unstructured data is like uh,
Okay. You can give me the example. Just you are saying that structured data means something defined. So what is the meaning of it, or what is it, or can you give me any example?
example.
Or data already
Like
defined? What is the
that
meaning of that you are telling?
data that unstructured data, it has some sensor or image files,
Mm-hmm.
something like that, videos, audios.
Mm-hmm. Sensors
Yeah,
basically means sensors is providing you a data. So which
mhm.
data might be in the, just like suppose I'm saying that temperature and humidity sensors are providing you a data for every minute, and that you are capturing somewhere in your database. So whether it is a structure or whether it is a non-structure.
Okay.
Tell me whether it is a structure or it is a non-structure. Okay, no issue.
Which one, sir?
The sensors, suppose I am putting so many sensors for the humidity and temperature control in all over the city. 100 sensors are there, and they are providing me a data information for every minute's temperature as well as humidity, which I am storing somewhere in the cloud, okay, in some database. So whether this type of the data is structure or it is non-structure.
This can be structured, right?
Yeah,
Structured data.
this is structured only because it is providing you a digits, integer value or float value you are getting from the temperature also, and from that one, and then you are storing something in some database. I already said. So let me explain very easy concept. Structured data, basically, which you can read immediately, like that it is a kind of table format data which comes as a structured data for you, like that you are creating some tables in SQL, or some company which is using, say for example, enterprise resource planning, which is a ERP software, and that data will be basically you are storing somewhere in any database, might be HANA, might be in SQL Server, or might be somewhere else. So in that case, that data is a structured data. Definitely you are storing somewhere, like that. I am giving you another example, that 100 sensors you are putting in whole cities, and that sensor will be providing every minute data for the temperature also, for the humidity also, and that you are storing somewhere in the cloud database, which is already created in the cloud, and that data is going to the cloud and you are storing that one. So that is another aspect of it. So this type of the data, which you can read easily, you can write the query easily, also you can find something from that data also by writing or executing the query, is a structured data which is having some kind of might be rows and some different columns. So that column is basically field for your data. The field means basically different column, might be a, suppose you are creating your own data or your class data. Suppose you are reading somewhere in the college and you want to accumulate the students data information, so you're creating one table, that serial number, then might be a roll number, then name, then surname, then class, then age, then date of birth, then say for suppose subject 1, subject 2, subject 3, subject 4, subject 5 marks you want to give that also, so you are adding that also. Or might be you are creating separate value from roll number, you are creating a separate table for in entering the marks of the different subject. So might be you have a multiple files for the different aspects. One table you are creating for the fees, one table you are creating for their another kind of the reports, one table you are creating for the family informations, one table is you are creating for their health information of the students. So multiple data you are creating, and this all type of data which I am talking right now, which you are storing in the table, is a structured data. So very simple to understand. If you are storing some data in the format of table, is a structured data which you can read easily, which you can process easily, which you can clean easily, and you can find the information from that one. Even you can convert that data to CSV file format also. Might be you can export that data to other tools also, whether it is Power BI or whether it is Microsoft Excel itself, or even in SQL you can see that data. So it is a structured data. Second, definitely in structured data you have a multiple formats, like that you are storing, might be possible that you are storing date also in that one, you are storing some string kind of thing also in that one, might be you are just storing some kind of the information there, might be right now in the database itself you can store the image. There is a field image, and then you can store the image inside the database also. So at that time If you are finding out this is the roll number and I want to find what is the image, immediately you get the answer. So that comes to the structure in that case. But when I am talking about non-structured data, the scene is totally different. Different kind of the videos files available multiple places, different kind of the image available multiple places. You are just keeping them as a file. Then this becomes non-structured data. There is no structure. Immediately you cannot search from there that I want to search this one, how I can find out. Or you can search inside the file name. Suppose you are giving the same file name, then it is, you are able to find out that also. So unstructured data might be an image, might be a video format, might be a different PDF files also. PDF files, the data will be written in the PDF file, so that file is also a unstructured type of data. Might be you have some kind of the text data, so that text data also a unstructured data, which you are storing somewhere, but which is not in a particular format, not in a table format, which is just like simply a file storage, and there or might be a blob storage in which you are just storing different kind of the images, different kind of the videos, different kind of the PDF files, different kind of the Word file or document file. So multiple formats you have that you are storing. That all data is a non-structured data. And there will be another thing which we am telling about, that you are storing the data might be in Excel also itself. In Excel, you are creating some columns names, you are giving in the top of the row, might be 30 columns you are creating, and then after that you are inserting the data in each row, and you enter the value for that particular columns, and after you save that file. So then it is a structured data for you, because from that you can you can transfer this data to any tool also, and in tables also, like that in SQL. If you want to transfer from Excel, it is very easy to transfer into the SQL also, or to the any other source. That's the way. So this is the two terminology which is very, very important. But in the data science, you will learn also other things also, which I'm just giving you as a knowledge purpose in the today's lecture also. First, you understand these two terminology: what is structured data and what is non-structured data. So very simple definition: structured data is which we are storing in our table, or which we are storing in the Excel, or any kind of the tabular data is as structured data. And any kind of the image or video, this kind of the stuff which is available is a non-structured. I cannot find out from that anything immediately, because it is unstructured for me. Lot of PDF files is available, so how I can search what the information written in that inside that particular file. Lot of movies or videos are there, how I can find out what is inside it. Lot of images are available, which is storing, might be 5 lakhs images already available in the Google you are searching. Then it is a kind of unstructured data right now. But how I can use this structured data or non-structured data, because data is coming from different sources. So if it is coming from my SQL server source, SQL server, or MySQL, or might be from NoSQL database, which is right now MongoDB, and so many other kind of the DBs are also available. From that, you are just taking the data and analyzing it is easy for you. But suppose it is unstructured kind of data, then you have to do something, and you have to find out that how I can use this data for real kind scenario, or if I want to find out or do the analytics from this one, how I can do. So that is important to understand, guys. So this is first terminology, which is data layer, in which you do the data collection definitely, and this is very tough process as far as data science is concerned, to collect the data from different sources, and might be a different type of the data you are having, which is a structured format also, which is non-structured format also. So you have a data in tables also. You have the data, might be you are getting the data from some kind of the API which is in JSON format, might be you are getting the data from somewhere from XML. So these all are basically structured kind of data which you can convert, and you can get some good result, that one. So that you have to understand, this is important. Next, already we have done this things which is in the database and data warehousing. You have to understand what is descriptive analytics, predictive analytics, also prescriptive analytics also, and which you can understand in descriptive analytics are statistics. You have to find out from the simply sampling or mean, mode, median kind of the things, and also you can find out as standard deviation, create histogram, those kind of the stuff you can do. Predictive analytics you can do from the time series or the data mining. You can do also cluster analysis, might be a logistic regression, multiple regression that you can do for the predictive analytics. And prescriptive analytics, definitely in this also, it is a kind of where you can do linear regression programming, or might be integer programming, might be a different non-linear programming, also logistic regression, simulation modeling that you can do. And there will be another things which is a database and data warehouse, in which there will be a might be a relational database modeling or a structured query language which you can use, which is SQL. So SQL is also one chapter for you dedicatedly. So might be probably you will learn. You have a different kind of the report generation. Guys, I'm getting the voice from someone. Please. Let me check. Yeah. Yeah, now it's clear. So in this also you have a different kind of the report generation, or might be you want to do the data visualization from your relational database, RDBMS, or you can say structured data, so that you are doing directly. Dimensional modeling, that also you can do from your structured data, and you are creating a different dimension. Dimension means basically from the field you are creating something as a dimension which you can have in the integer or numeric formats. That will be like that you are basically accepting some weight, and that will be in kg, and that you are just storing somewhere. Might be height that you are in centimeters, and that you are storing somewhere. Might be a marks, so that you are storing somewhere. Might be a date also, year. So year is having month, month is having dates. So you are having like that drag down. I want yearly report, I want quarterly report, I want monthly report, I want weekly report. So this type of the drill down you have to do. Non-structured query language is used for basically another process, and that you can use. And there might be a kind of distributed file system or map reduce, which is used for the other purpose, you can say, when you use big data. So in big data, you have to store data on the basis of that zeros and one, you can say. So whether it is basically right or whether it is wrong, that also you can give it the value 0 or 1, and then lot of things you can store, and it is huge data, and you can basically use the different other process, which is might be map reduce or distributed file systems. So this is the example which I already given you yesterday also, that data volume, if you are seeing that in 2010 it is only 1.2 trillion GB, and this in 5 years from 1.2 it is going to the 7.9 trillion, and right now if I'm talking about 2020 it is 44 trillion, and right now 21 and our 22 start, if I'm talking about, it is more than 60 trillion GB data will be generated. This is the things which is huge data is generated, and then you have to analyze this data. So definitely it is very, very tough process. Learning from the data is used in the decision for making and business process or optimization, which you have to do. And so many companies are using this one. So giving you few examples that if I'm talking about the Walmart as a company, so 4 billion number of transactions every year they are doing, and 900 number of stores they are having, and more than 1 lakh numbers of SKUs means products they are having. So from this, a lot of data is generated and they are doing the analytics on the basis of their data. So every company, not talking about Walmart only, it is Amazon also, it is Flipkart also. Flipkart is now Walmart company. So it is so many e-commerce industry in different companies is already basically doing business, and you can find out it's a high volume they are generating. Even right now, you know that in the other domain also, Uber, Ola, these are also generating a lot of huge data and collecting the information and then storing somewhere in the cloud itself also. And then after that, they are doing the different analytics on the basis of that. So this is also example I'm giving you, just like in big data analytics helps organization to basically harness their data and use to identify new opportunities, and which basically turns leads to smarter business move. So you can, might be you want to do some kind of the cost reductions, might be you want to use for better decision or faster decision, might be you are using the same big data analytics for your new product launching or the new services launching, that you have to do, that you can do it. So this is basically a process where you are discovering something, and then after that you are finding out, basically describing the things, predicting the things, and optimize the business process. So this is whole cycles which you have to do. So guys, let's have a break for 10 minutes and we will continue with this 7:40. We will continue. It's already we have taken this one. So this is the part, and that you have to understand this data layer. So just muting myself. Guys, let me have a quick check. My screen is visible and voice is clear to all of you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's talking to the next, which is from your structured type of data and non-structured data. So structured data, as you know, that it is in the table format, which you are storing in either in SQL Server or might be Oracle database, might be in SAP HANA, or might be any kind of the database, MySQL, anything which you are storing in either in the direct database or might be in the cloud database. A lot of cloud databases also available. Even you can have a MongoDB and those kind of the stuffs also, which is NoSQL data also. So that pattern which you are storing is a structured data which is having some fields name, and some definitely that data is having some values also, and from that you want to do the analytics. So might be possible, as I told you yesterday also, that some tables is already having more than 200 columns or 300 columns, but actually if you want to see in terms of the data science, you find that only 10 field, 15 field or 20 fields are important, which I have to take as a consideration, and you are pulling that only, because no need to pull all 300 columns and the whole database inside the tools, or might be while you are doing analytics. So it is only important that you have to pull those things which is required. Might be there are two ways. One way is that you if it is a very big industry or organization, you say to the database or data engineering team, they will provide you only that tools, or they will create you a view for you. Might be they are creating a table adapter for you, or might be they will create any kind of the API, and which will be your requirement. As per your requirement, they will directly give that data. So in that case, your part basically means your 50% time, which will be basically consumed in finding out or searching the data, and then collecting the data, and then after that refining the data, which will be you saved, and directly you are going to the process which I already tell you yesterday, from 4th to 9th, and then you are creating a different models, writing different algorithms for them, and then getting the result. That's the advantage of it. But sometimes if it is the organization is very small and they are having one database only storing all the data there, in that case might be they have a very small team for the data scientists also. So they will say that this is our data, guys. and we will give you the access, the reading access to this database, and you can just pull the data, and then after that you are able to do the task or getting the information which we require, or what the solution which I want to find out, that also you can find out. That's another third process. So for a small organization or the enterprise, those are having very less data which is in we are storing in the structure format. It's very easy for you that you are doing all the tasks from start to end on the basis of your questions, or the basis of your basically getting the information from the data. You are only selecting those tables which is required, and only selecting those fields which is required for getting right information, and from that you are doing the data analytics, and then definitely you go for the data science also, the same tables you are using. So that's the another thought process. For a small organization, you have to do all the work, but for the big organization, definitely other team will be taking care for the other stuff, and you are only doing data analytics part or data visualization part, or might be that is the third one, which is data science part also. So this way you can do this. Next is this, already I explained you examples, I already explained you. This is another thing that this already we discussed also. Why data analytics? So when transitions details are present as a line chart, the deposit and withdrawal pattern become apparent. So in the initial, I show you this bank transition detail for April to 2016 like that. Just I show you that these are the transitions. These are the transitions for bank transitions. And then for that, you are doing some kind of the visualization. So you are getting some pattern from the data. So it is in structured format. When you are just visualize this one, so it is giving you some kind of the pattern. So here you can find out that this is overall pattern, and I think that from 1 to 23, if we are considering, you can find out the similar plus and minus will be applicable. But if I am saying that from 23 to 27, in bit, just you can see there will be a huge transition is done, and this is still 26 it is done. So this, if you are seeing that what is this, so this is the outlier for your data, and definitely this will impacting you the whole overall the result. So in case of the data analytics purpose, or in case of the data science also, when you are just creating a models or when you are creating anything, then definitely you are removing the outliers from that. So this is also, you can understand that you have a 3 months data, which is March 16, April 16, May 16, and you are plotting that one. You can find out only this will be basically increasing here. So this is a discrepancy in the your data, and that you can find out what is the reason behind it, why this is increased. So you can find out that immediately. This is the reason behind. Might be there will be some marriage in your home, and you have done lot of expenses at that 3 days. Might be you are having some another issue, so that you can find out. So this pattern, from the pattern you can judge anything. Talking to next from data analytics, already we are talking about multiple times also. That domain knowledge you required, programming also you required, static skills also, mathematics also, for the decision making process you require these things to learn. So this I just skipped these slides. This is important, which you have to understand in these today and tomorrow sessions. So we go in detail also, because right now you understand what is data, structured data, and what is your non-structured data. Besides that, also something also needed that you also understand. Business problem understanding. Yesterday I explained each and everything, that whatever the questions given from the organization or from the client, that why they want to do this data analytics, this is their problem they are facing, and you can rectify this by doing the analytics of the data. then you have to understand that problem, and according to that problem, you want to do data acquisitions, means you are doing the collection of the data, which is main requirement, and that only you can understand with the questions which is basically client is saying to you, or the organization or enterprise is basically giving you a task that we want this solution. And this is our data which is coming from, might be a single source, might be from multiple source, might be it is structured data and non-structured data, both kind of the data they are having, and they are providing you, and then after that you do the next steps. So guys, business problem, again I can explain, this might be a basically the process of analytics begin with the questions or business problems of the stakeholders. So as I said, it might be a client is directly giving you, clients means basically for those you are managing the business, or your company is managing the business for multiple companies, they are giving consulting to multiple clients. So every client is having a different requirement. Might be they want to use something from the sales side, something might be they want to find out from the marketing domain, might be they want to find out something in inventory, that basically due to inventory shortage in a particular day, every week there will be a production loss. We are finding out how we can basically maintain this inventory, and which is also lean inventory. So our process is optimized and we cannot find any difficulty. So that might be a questions which I am saying you. In sales also, company is saying that we are having, basically we are reaching to the target from last 6 months. Every month we are getting 10 CR target. So I want to increase this targets to, instead of 10 CR to say, for example, 25 CR in next 4 months. Can you able to do this by analytics of my data? So definitely that is the second kind of the questions. Might be in customer sides, customer is having a different users. So on the basis of the different users, they want to do some kind of the analytics. What is the requirement or what is the need for a particular month? And on the basis of that, they are floating their advertisements. Might be somebody is using some websites and they want to see that I want to increase the traffic volume, or might be possible that particular week there is a lot of traffic volume they are getting, but after that the traffic volume is reduced. So they want to analyze what is the reason behind it. Might be there is a sale there, that's why the traffic volume is 10 times, and right now it's normal, we are selling in the normal way, there is no sell. So in that case, the traffic volume is little bit or 10 times lower as compared to the big billion day sale or any other festival sale day. So that they want to understand. Might be this, I'm giving you e-commerce industry example, but might be some other company which they want to increase their traffic volumes only. For that they want to do the analytics, that how I can increase my traffic volumes, that can you suggest me by picking my data. I am having users, I am having in multiple countries user or multiple countries database I am having, which is available for you. And can you find out that if I want to increase this one, so what I have to do? So you can suggest the idea for that one and you can do. So these are the different business problems regarding the need to analyze data and find the answers from that one that you can find out. Now, next important thing, data acquisition. So this is very important. As I tell you that collecting the data from various sources for analysis to answer the question raised in step 1, the meaning of that from previous step. If client is asking something, I'm giving you so many examples that client is asking, might be to increase traffic volume, to increase their sales revenue, to basically finding out the basically inventory losses. Basically, yeah, they can say that in a particular day or in a particular week, every 2-3 days or every 4 days, our inventory is very short and we have to stop the production for 2 hours, and that is a big loss for us. Might be possible. So these are the different questions they can ask, and then you have to find out on that. Only the thing is that for that purpose, definitely data acquisition is required. Lot of companies which is also generating the data, which is, for example, if I'm talking about the social companies, so these are Twitter or Facebook, or might be another kind of the social, which is LinkedIn, or might be Vim, or might be anything else, Twitter, lot of Pinterest. So these are the few companies which is sending basically data in the format of APIs. So you can collect the data in terms of the API, and from API you can store somewhere that data, and from that data you can do the analytics to increase, might be a sales of a particular company, and might be you can find out the pattern of the customers also, that what the feedback they are giving for your company, or might be feedback for a particular product. So generally you can see that sometimes so many people tweets for the product or the services in Twitter also. So many are giving feedback in the Facebook also, that I buy this product from this company, but I'm getting this problem. So that will be also impacting. So they can search from that also, that this type of the data I can collect, how I can do, and how I can store those kind of stuff in other database, which I can utilize for my own business. Like that, guys, data scientist expertise, as I tell you previously also, you have to understand that how to do different kind of the file handlings. You have to understand the different kind of the file formats also, that might be your data in the JSON format, might be it is in XML format, might be in the flat files or the CSV files you are getting the data, might be you are getting the data in unstructured format also. So that you have to understand that how I can collect my data, and from that data what the things needed for my problem, whether I am able to resolve it, or whether this data is sufficient for that one, or I have to collect the data from another sources which might be available from the different social media also. Can I collect that data? Like that, the movie review is given so many people in different domains, they are providing this movie review in Facebook also providing the movie review, in Twitter also. So you have to collect the data from both the cases, and then after that you can give some kind of a conclusion. Might be possible that a company is basically storing the huge amount of data that might be a terabyte in size. So in that case, lot of server logs can be extracted from enterprises server, and you can analyze this for optimization application performance also, that how your application is working, whether it is working perfectly fine, everything is written properly. You can see it, because as a real kind scenario, yesterday I'm giving you the example for the banking systems also, that when you are just doing any transition from your credit card or from debit card, immediately this is real-time analytical processing, in which they have to check information immediately and they transit, and this transfer is done within a fraction of second or within a second, and that will be stored somewhere. So a lot of log will be generated for that one, and from that log you can analyze the things also. So this is also a requirement from so many companies. They want to do the analytics on the basis of their server logs, because server, when you are storing something in server, that log is also prepared for you, and then you can do the analytics from that also. So this is a kind of different structured kind of the things. Another thing which you will learn in detail, and which is the part in this today and tomorrow's lecture, which is you have to understand data wrangling and exploration. So the data wrangling basically is most important phase of the data analytics process, in which you are doing number one, data cleansing. So you want to do a different kind of the cleaning which is required for the data, like that missing values which are having inside the data. Either you have to delete those rows, or you can convert those rows to some might be a zero value or something like that one. So in that case, what happen? Sometimes it is happening, you have a 20 field, and out of 20 fields, 1 or 2 field having a missing value in particularly 100 rows. So in that case, you don't want to delete all the things because your 18 parameters is perfectly fine. So I get the result from 18, but from 2 parameters might be because they are having null value in 100 rows. So I'm not getting the right result. So in that case, what I do 2 things. From 18 parameters, I'm getting the results. I can create a model from those 18. And from tools which is I am having, I just remove the rows which is basically null value, and then I also create one another model, and then I can see what is the difference I am getting while I am doing this thing. So if deleting the rows, I am getting the same result for those 18 fields. In that case, the meaning of that data is basically you can say it is good data, and it is identical data, you can say, because you are getting the result after even deleting 100 or 500 rows which is having null value, and same accuracy level you are getting in your model also. So that is another thought process for understanding these things. Data manipulation part, definitely we can do also. Yesterday I tell you, summarization or grouping, those kind of the stuff you want to do in the manipulation. Might be you want to add some new field in your data which you are just like getting from the different sources, and you are creating your own fields by basically calculating 2-3 fields values, and from that you want to finding out something, so you are creating a new field. Might be the naming culture of the company, you are not understanding what is this field. So for the easiest way for to understand the client also, and to you also, to your team also, you are just renaming the columns names, and then that column name will be generic and easy for you, and you can do the different analytics from that also wise. So we can go in little bit detail, which is this is data cleaning and data manipulation is part of data wrangling. Now this is important to understand. This is very, very important while you are doing data wrangling challenges. So guys, this you understand, because generally in interviews also, they know that you do analytics, but they can ask this question like this, that what are the different challenges which you are facing in the real kind scenario. Might be they can say that we are facing this kind of this kind of the challenge in our organization. So are you facing previously this one or not? Are you facing what type of the different challenges in the data science domain, because you are working from since last 6 months, or might be from 1 year, or might be from 5 years. So in that case, basically you understand. So this phase basically includes data cleansing. This we are talking about already just now. Data manipulations also. And this also deal with data aggregation, or might be a data split or reshaping of the data also. This comes under this one. What are the challenges? If we are talking about the challenge, what are the challenges which you are basically finding out in the data wrangling phase? So very first important, which is unexpected data format. Sometimes it is happening that your data is in not proper format. You need some proper format, but your data is basically might be in string you are getting, but you are not getting in answers. Might be you required an integer or float, so that you have to convert that one definitely. So that is one important thing. Might be that company is providing you a data in XML format, in a file format, or might be in JSON format. They are providing you as a API. So from API, you have to consume that data and see the result, and then after that you are converting that result to might be in Excel or might be in other tools. So you are able to see that one because the format is different. So you have to change as per your requirement. This is important factor, unexpected data format. So you are getting unexpected data format, then it is difficult for analytics purpose, and you have to change your data format according to your choice or according to the tools which you are using. and that will be resolve the problem. Next is erroneous data. Erroneous data means basically, as I tell you, that sometimes might be possible that you are getting the data from out of 10 lakhs rows, might be 200 rows are having null data in particular field. I'm not talking about the complete row is null. If complete row is null, definitely you can delete because it is not impacting on the result. If row is blank, there will be options, so many options available in the tools inside already. Just click that one. Even in the Excel itself, it is written remove duplicate rows. Sometimes you have a duplicate rows, similar data it is entering again and again. So those duplicate rows also you can remove by single click. Remove blank rows, so it will be removing all the blank rows which is having inside your data. So this will be coming in lot of tools already. It is available that you can do. That is also impacting on your result. So you have to modify that one. There will be another thing which is voluminous data to basically be manipulated. Sometimes it is having, you have a very large, huge data. And suppose as an industry, if I'm talking out, say company is having 10,000 rows and they want to say that I want analyze and I am having 1 lakh rows and they just replicate the rows. Their team will be replicating the rows and sending you the data. So that might be possible, very rarely possible case, because definitely company wants the result, so they can not do this type of stuff. It is done by the person only. So that you have to take care, and that you can find out also in the duplicate rows or in the basically delete rows, which is blank rows that you can delete. So you are getting a right data. But if you are having a very large volume data, definitely might be possible from that data you are creating a different models. So in that case, what you do, you are selecting random rows from that data. Suppose might be possible that it is a 1 TB data company is giving that I am having 1 TB data till now. You have to do the analysis from that one. So what you do, you are take the samples from that one, that instead of taking all 1 TB data, I will take only few rows from the data, because my data is might be having 100,000 rows. I want only 10,000 rows to do the analysis. So I can take the samples, random sample from old data that I need first 10,000 rows. This is my one set. Then again I execute that random one. So again I get new 10,000. Again I execute it. Again I get 10,000 rows. Similar way you are taking, say for example, might be a 10 sample, might be a 20 sample that you are collecting from your huge data, and from that data you are creating step by step that what the result I am getting from that 10,000, because now 10,000 becomes your standard data. This is data 1, this is data 2, data 3, data 4. So you have a 20 set of your data which is having a different rows. No data will be common because you are selecting randomly. So might be few rows available in data 1, that might be possible that from that few rows is available in data 4, might be the same data 7 is having some few rows. So that is possible because you are selecting randomly. But when you are executing this one or creating some model or with doing visualization, you can see the pattern which you are getting from this data. So by this pattern, you can understand whether this data is a good data or it is not a good data, whether I can get, means because data generates the pattern. So when you are just even doing scattered plot from your data and it is generating any kind of the pattern, might be straight line, might be kind of regression line, then you can see that, say that I can directly get the answer from this data because this is a right pattern which I am getting, which is generated from my data. Structure kind of the data also generating a very good pattern for you, because this is also a structured data, because 10,000 rows you are pulling from your whole data, and then after that you are plotting this. Might be possible that you are not getting any pattern from the data and it is showing you a different points in the data, because 10,000 data points you are creating, and when you are seeing a consolidated whole view, it is showing you a scattered format. So your data is in scattered format. In that case, you clearly say, I cannot predict anything from this data. Then I can utilize some another model, because scattered model, you cannot create a linear regression kind of the thing, because it is giving you, it is not giving you any result, because it is not generating any pattern. In that case, might be you are immediately switch to logistic model, might be you are switching to random, creating a random forest model or tree model from the data, and then getting the result. Then classifying data into linear or clustered. So sometimes needed that if you want to do the clustering kind of analytics also, you are making cluster of your data also, that you can do by some functions which you are learning also in advanced data science part. Determining relationship between observations, features, and response. So that also you can determine, and that whatever the data which is as a sample, I am getting 10,000 rows, I am having 20 data. And from these 20 data, you can just plotting something or view something or doing some kind of the analytics. Definitely you can understand any relationship between available, that also you can learn. What are the different features for your data, that is also you can understand. Nice. So these are the challenges which you can understand. And definitely, just also the one point I written here, data wrangling is the most challenging phase and takes up 70% of the data scientist. Even I am saying that 50% to 60% time wasted, but actually you can see that might be possible that it will consume 70% of your whole project time. Suppose you are saying that I want to complete the project in, say, for example, 1 month or 2 months. So you can find out, you can surprise that out of 2 months project, my 1.5 month will be, or might be out of 60 days, my 40 days or 45 days are gone for finding out the data, removing the data, cleaning the data, those kind of stuff I have to do, and creating the so many samples from that one also. That is also possible case, guys. So this is important to understand. Next is data exploration, which is a model selection in which basically you can do also data cleansing, also data manipulations, also aggregations, also splitting, also reshaping, also different overall data analysis process based on different analytics or the data analysis process. You have to find out what the best I can do, and you can do different hypothesis building and testing on that, or you are building different kind of the mathematical statistical functions, which is you have to find out mean, mode, median also, which you learn these terminology in statistics needed for data science. So you will learn each terminology which is required for as far as statistics is concerned. So actual, it is not needed that you have to learn whole statistics, but you can understand is that statistics which is needed for the data science. There will be another thing which is exploratory data analysis, which is in short form you can say ADA. So this is basically approach, then focus, then assumptions, and then you have to use different ADA techniques, which is exploratory data analytics, which is the approach which study the data to recommend suitable model that best fit for the data. So I already tell you that this is a basically different thought process, or generally what happens that you have to create a different model, and out of the model you can either find out accuracy level, or you can just judge which model is suitable for me on the basis of the result. So when you are visualizing the data, definitely it generates so many things for you, and on the basis of that you can deal this one, that which is the best suitable model for me, and I can use only that thing. So there will be a, if I'm doing the visualization, might be a quantitative which provide numeric outputs for your inputted data, and graphical use statistical functions for graphical output. In that case, you are creating a different model, and you are visualizing on the basis of that one. What is the initial label? If you have data and value, just you are might be creating a linear regression plot kind of things, or might be you can say you are just plotting the points according to the data, and you can see that is any pattern is generated from this data. If it is generated, then definitely I can predict something. If it is not generated and showing you as all scattered point in whole screen, then you can see it is not generated any kind of the pattern, and it's very difficult for even me that what I can get inside it. So in that case, definitely you change your basically model, that instead of linear regression, you switch to another model. So there will be so many kind of the models available for you guys. So this we can discuss mean, mode, median is next chapter. This is so we will discuss those things. Yeah, this is important, which is data types for plotting. So you understand these also, because I already show you two important things, which is one is structured data, non-structured data. So here when I'm talking about the plotting, so you can get the two type of numerical data. Number one is discrete data. Discrete data means you are getting a distinct or counted value, that known as discrete data. The meaning of that, suppose I am storing some basically value information for my inventory. So I am storing that one that I can count as a distinct value also, just like suppose I am having a 10,000 product SKUs. So each SKU is different, and if I want to count, so I get 10,000 is total. And suppose out of 10,000 SKUs that product is selling, so today I can find out how many SKUs basically in the pictures which is sold from the company, and that you can count also. So this is discrete data, means it is a countable data, or it is the counted values, or it is having a distinct value, means separate values. So that is known as discrete data. If I am talking about the example, very simple example, number of employee in a company or number of student in a class that you can count, then this is a example of discrete data. Because suppose I'm saying that 90 employees is working in my company, or might be 900 employees is working in my company. So that 900 from where you are getting? Definitely from count. So you have a employee ID, you have a might be a numbers on that, and or you can count that rows, that how many employee IDs rows I am getting, and you can count that these are the total employees which are I am having in my company. So this is your discrete data example. The similar way in the class, if you can count the number of students also, that is also a discrete kind of data. Guys, there will be another data which is a continuous data. Continuous data means basically values within a range that can be measured. Like that, if I am saying that if you are taking the temperature or the room temperature, it will vary from right now, say for example 10 degree to 14 degrees centigrade, or might be in summer it is from 35 degree to 40 degrees centigrade, or 30 to 40 degrees temperature as a scenario. So 30 to 40 degree is basically you are giving as an example. The similar way I am giving you another kind of the example, that height can be measured in feet or inches, or weight can be measured in pounds or kilograms. So this data is known as continuous data, and for each student definitely you are getting a different height and different weights, and that you are storing somewhere. This is an example of continuous data. Another example I'm giving you just for the sensors also, that 100 sensors might be you are putting in the whole city, and that sensor will be generating every minute data for temperature as well as for humidity, and you are storing somewhere and you are collecting that information. That is also a continuous data. So in numeric data, you have two things. Number one, whether it is countable, yes, then it is a discrete data. Whether it might be in range, some kind of the range, that might be height, because height you are giving in, say, for example, feet. So it will be, might be somebody is having 5 feet, somebody is having 5 feet 2 inch, somebody has 5 feet 6 inch, somebody has 6 feet, somebody has 6 feet 3 inch, somebody has 4 feet 10 inch, somebody has 5 feet 7 inch. So this will be different heights you are getting. So this is a kind of continuous data you are having. It is in some kind of the range also it is available. Might be you are taking the weight, so it is a start from, say, for example, 40 kg, and highest weight you are having 70 kg also. And in between 40 to 70, lot of other people having a different weights also that you can manage. That is also an example of continuous data. Then second will be a categorical data. Categorical data you have to understand in this way, that there are two types of the categorical data, like that there are two types of the numerical data. So you can understand that one is discrete, which is we can count. Another is continuous, which is, say, for example, in some range, and that will be, we can store the data. In category also, one is cluster or group, which is having a grouped value, like that students can be divided into different groups based on the height. And you are dividing into like that, this is student is tall, or this is medium, or this is short. Like that you are capturing the height data. That example is of continuous data. But when you convert this to a new field, and you are saying that from 5 feet to 5.4, I say that it is a short height. From 5.4 to 5.8, it is a medium height. And from 5.8 to onwards, it is a tall height. In that case, this will be divided, and this data will be a kind of example, which is a categorical data. And this you can say it is a cluster data, or it is a group data. Guys, understand this one? Cluster, this cluster or group data is clear to you guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. Next is ordinal data. Ordinal data basically comes under groups values as per ranks. So I'm giving you a very good example. You are giving a movie rank, like that. If it is a very good movie, you are giving 5 as a rank. If it is a little bit less, giving 4. If it is like that so-so movie, you are giving 1 also, might be you are giving 0 also. This rank will be a example of ordinal data where you are defining as a rank. Might be possible you are giving agree, strong agree, disagree. This is also a kind of rank, because you can give some points to this one. Might be you have a basically giving on the basis of 0 to 9 in a, or 0 to 10 in case of the percentage, that good one is getting 10. Then if the marking is from between 9 to 10, I give 10. Greater than 9 and less than 10, I give as a 10. And then greater than 8 and then less than 9, I give 9 as a whole. So this is a kind of ranking system. Might be you are giving the grade system also. So that is a different example you can take. Might be you are purchasing a product from Amazon, and from that services, you are giving rating of that product. Whether you are giving a 5 rating, or 4 or 3 or 2 or 1 or 0. Similarly, kind of movies also. So that rating will be basically storing somewhere in the data, and from that you are doing the analytics, because lot of purchasing doing, so many people are purchasing the same product and providing, they all are providing the rating, and on the basis of that they can find out and they can just something. And this is known as example is ordinal data, which will be in different kind of the group values as per the ranks. So if it is a group value on the basis of your, say for example, height, so you are saying that it is tall or it is medium or short, then it is a cluster data or group data. And when we are talking about in the case of rank, either 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or might be 1 to 3, or might be something like agreed, strong agreed, and disagree. So you can give, this is agree is, say for example 1, strong agree is, say for example 2, and disagree I give 0. So this is 0, 1, 2 kind of thing, you are giving some kind of ranks. So this all are example of ordinal data, guys. So in data types, you understand number 1 is numeric data, which is of 2 types, discrete and continuous. You also understand categorical data, which is also having two types, which is cluster or ordinal. And third, you also understand there will be another data which is available, which is a time series data, guys. So data is measured in time blocks such as date, month, year, and time, or you can say hours, minutes, and seconds also. And the very good examples, real kind example is that share market data. So you can find out even every second data, you can find out every minute data, you can find out every hour data, you can find out day-wise data, you can find out month-wise data, you can find out week-wise data, year-wise data, quarterly data, what do you want. So it is a complete time series you are getting because you are having complete date-wise with time. So for example, you want to do the analytics for a particular one limited company and you want to see that what is the impact in overall 3 months or 1 month period duration. So you say that I need every hour data for every day. What is the rates for this company? And then I want to do the analytics. Might be you are saying that every minute's data I'm getting for this company for each day. And then I want to do the analytics for last 90 days or last 180 days or might be the whole year. So that time series data is also very, very important. And this will be most of the cases you are using this for the share market analytics purpose also. This is good. Might be there will be another so many examples with the time series, because time series you have date, time, and then you have some data. That data might be in value, might be in some another dimension. So you have to do the analytics on the basis of that, guys. So these all are examples related to your structured data. And then I just correlate this structured data in terms of the data science and then converting this structured data to what is numerical data or categorical data or time series data. So in that case, that's why I'm giving the heading that data types for plotting. So you can plot the things, because if you have a numerical data or if you have a categorical data also, you can plot that, because on the basis of rank, you can define that how many peoples are, suppose there are 50 students in a class. So immediately you can get the answer that how many students in my class are tall or might be in medium or might be in short height. So that immediately you get the answer. How many people are in the class, those are having the weight from 35 to 40. So you can find out that also. From 40 to 45, you can find out that also. From 45 to 50, that you can find out. Like that, I'm giving you some example. So the similar case, just like ranking system, you are just noting somewhere and then finding out, fetching that data from some, might be from Twitter or might be from Facebook, and then you are doing the analytics that what the exact rank you are getting. I am getting a reviews for this product, more than 1,000 people, and I want to do the analytics for this. Might be I'm getting a reviews from more than 10,000 people in a Facebook for a particular movie, and I want to find out the do the conclusion that what is the rating finally I am giving to this. Might be you are having a combining data from Twitter also, Facebook also, might be from other social media, collecting those reviews, and then you consolidate those reviews, and after that finally you are getting that what the rank or reviews movie rating star I can give to this one. So that is all the ways which is in the current market, and a lot of people are doing the analytics on the basis of that. Might be you are watching the movies on the Netflix, and after that you are giving some kind of the rating. Might be in YouTube also you are watching some movies and giving some kind of the rating, and on the basis of that, similar movie you are having in different OTT platforms also, they are saying, and they are saying that you can also provide the movie rating. So might be in different basically social media, you are having a movie rating in different formats, and then you are consolidated those movie rating from the different social media platforms, and then consolidate them and getting the result out of that. Finally, what is the rating? Might be possible you are getting different rating in Facebook, different rating in Twitter. That is also possible case. Overall, I am getting 5 rating in Facebook, but in Twitter, if I am consolidated, I am getting overall rating as a 4.2. So that is possible case. And then consolidate social media, you are getting that finally with all social media, I'm collecting the information and data, and finally I'm getting 4.7 as a rating. So that way you can perform that overall rating is this one, and different rating for different fields or domain or from the different social media. I'm getting this one. That way you can do it, guys. So guys, hope you understand what is structured data, what is non-structured data, and what are the different data types which we are using for the plotting purpose also and for the data analysis purpose. This will be help you out. Reason is that while we are creating, so this will be everything will be helping you out, guys. Yes. I hope so. This is understand to you. Definitely from tomorrow onwards, we will go in more detail for this, and this will be clearly understanding each and everything. Till now, if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, meet you tomorrow at the same time, which is from 6:30 to 8:30, guys. Any question, guys? No questions I am getting. Then thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So I am stopping share, guys, and then closing the screen. Yeah.